welcome to Damp Sam's podcast. Today I'm going to talk to you about 5 things that hold people with trades back from starting up a damp proofing company. When I was a young lad, well, not so much, not so young, back in the day, to use a cliche, things that held me back from being a damp proofer and having my own company was there were a couple of things. So one was the guarantee. I was a bit anxious about having to provide a guarantee that lasted 30 years, because that was the standard guarantee at the time, 30 years. And there were a few other things. I mean, I should have been doing damp proofing from at least in early 90s, because I worked for a damp company who they were contractors. They were called Guardian Building Services, and that is, well, before that I worked for Harry Clark, plastering his damp proofing up, and they did all drilling and injecting. Now, I'm not saying it was best damp proofing in the world, but this were my introduction into the preservation industry, and I thought I knew things. How wrong was I? I thought I knew a lot of stuff about preservation and damp and things like that. Putting additive in, but I didn't. And I'll just tell you things that held me back. So number one was the guarantee. I started my business in 2000, all dry damp proofing, and then it was kind of trial and error, and I ended up going and taking my exams and things like that, getting better and better, and doing my qualifications, things that I didn't know about. So number one was the guarantee. So the thought of having to guarantee work for 30 years, that played on my mind a bit. And the reason why it played on my mind were for exactly the reason I said before. I weren't confident that the systems that I was using were exactly right. So you need to make sure that you know the what you're putting up wall is the correct system for the correct diagnosis of damp, because we get a lot of misdiagnosis. But I weren't confident in producing a certificate for 10 years, and I didn't know how to produce a certificate. Back in 80s, all the roofers and builders, plasterers that were set up as damp companies, they gave a guarantee, but this guarantee was just from the company that supplied the products. So all you got was a sheet of paper that said it guaranteed, this is a guarantee from Sovereign or Palace, Palace were the maker of the additive. These were two that Harry used to use back in there, Harry the dog. And if you read terms and conditions at back that nobody ever did, because they were classic 80s terms and conditions, that you needed a magnifying glass to read them. They were so small, and there were just hundreds and hundreds of them. But if you read them, it actually said on them that it were only guaranteeing product, and if the product failed, then they would send someone out to have a look at it, but you got to pay. So you've got to pay for their time. So most people just thought they got a guarantee, and if it failed, they could claim on that guarantee. And I think a lot of people might think that now, but that is not the case. So this guarantees can be produced by anybody. so you can produce your own guarantee with your own terms and conditions on. The thing that the law-abiding part of it is you've got to uphold them terms and conditions. So if you say that you're gonna install a damp system and it's gonna make that wall dry for the next 10 years, if it goes wrong, you, the guarantor, the person that's issued the guarantee, has to go back and sort it out. And this is where arguments can occur. Best thing is just go back and have a look at it. You know what I mean? Instead of arguing, go back and have a look. Get them to send pictures, and a lot of time, it's probably not the if it does become damp, it's probably not dampness from what you've put that system on wall for. So we get a lot if we install a system for rising damp or penetrating damp, something like that, and we do replastering, when people send us photos back in, it tends to be because they've got a condensation issue. Now, I'm not going to get into it, but this will go down to the job getting diagnosed correctly. So this is why we charge for his surveys now. So I'll go and I'll look at all house. So I'm not just looking at one wall to say that's damp. I have to look at kitchen, bathroom, outside, and look at most of the property to find out why that's damp and if it is a different issue to what they think it is, which is normally they think it's rising damp. So it's a guarantee that which will hold you back. You can issue your own guarantee. You can get a template. You can copy terms and conditions off back of Rentokils and adapt them to yourself. Because these terms and conditions, most companies look at each other's terms and conditions, and if you see a line that's been added by a solicitor, I'll put that in mine. It's not illegal. The only thing that's illegal is if you don't uphold that term and condition. So you need to go. If there's an issue and it is your fault, go have a look at it. If it is your fault, sort it out. But a lot of times it's not, and a lot of times, if you are starting out and there's an issue, the best way to learn is to go and have a look, find out why this issue has occurred, which is probably it's 9 times out of 10 it's probably a bridging issue. You've probably just got a bridging issue, or there might be an extra issue. So there might be a gutter leaking outside, and then you can earn some more money, because if it's not your fault, you can say I'll sort it out, and you get some another job out of it. So number 1, the guarantee. Don't let that stand in your way. There's templates that you can get and issue your own guarantee, so that's not a problem. Number 2, the equipment. So when I first started back in 80s, mid 80s, we Harry the dog. How you damp proof the wall, you used a compressor and a pump, and the silicon or silicon based damp proofing liquid were pumped under high pressure into the bricks. You drilled 2 bricks in, drilled 2 holes into bricks, and then you pumped in under high pressure the water. Well, not water, the silicon in. At a later date, they were water based. So your silicon is your carrier for your damp proofing. What am I trying to say? Your damp proofing products, which when it was silicon, it just filled out brick, so it blocked it all, and then set like a. Well, it was supposed to set like a band all the way around the house. stop any damp from rising up. And it never got installed 100% correctly. And I'll tell you that now. And I'll stand in court with anybody who says that they've put one in 100% correct. Because what it meant was you drilled, you injected silicon into bricks, and that had to fill all brick up, and it had to fill all mortar up on every single brick all the way around, inside and out, to get a continuous damp proof course. And it just never happened. Your labourer who were drilling and injecting used to get blood out in his head, so he'd move on to the next thing. Even technicians working for, best companies in the world, Rent-A-Kill, Timberwise. No, I'm not having it that they sat there and did every single brick correctly. And did they need to do every brick correctly? Probably not, because your secondary system, which were your plastering, usually a sand and cement render, with an additive in, and it worked as a system together. So the reason why this put me off was because I watched like hundreds and hundreds of installations with Harry, and then when I moved on to working for Guardian Building Services, and I watched them install it, and if there were any cracks in brick, any cracks or fissures in brick, you put silicon in under high pressure, it used to go everywhere. And I've been in houses where next door neighbours come round and it's gone through and gone on their carpet. I know I shouldn't laugh, but it weren't just like an oily, silicony, sticky substance. It stunk to high heaven. It had a really sharp smell to it. So if you did a house next door, stunk for days on end. It really smelled. Excuse me while I have a drink. It stunk to high heaven. And then if it went through into other house, so just thought of that stress, and I just thought, I can't be doing that. And even if it were an empty house, they used to, I'd go in to do replastering, and they'd pull carpet back, and carpet used to have like a rubber underlay, and what they'd do is that this silicon had run out at bricks, and it had run onto the floor and pull, and then go under carpet. Well, it used to melt rubber underlay, and it was just a nightmare. So I always vowed that I'd never use this system. As a young'un, it just seemed too messy, too noisy, and then every so often pump would be breaking. They used to have these rods what they put in wall, and they had to have like a rubber on end. They kept wearing down, and it just seemed as if there were too much stuff that had gone wrong. And then obviously if you didn't drill and inject it properly as well, in my mind I just thought that could go wrong as well. So there's just too much stuff that could go wrong. In 2000, I got asked to replaster or re-render a wall in some walls in Manchester for lass who I was seeing at the time. One of her friends, they were having some damp proofing doing, and they said, would I be able to go and do replastering? So he said, yeah. So me and Lee, who's got precision, help Lee. So me and him, he were my apprentice at the time. We went through, and we saw this guy who were a joiner, and I looked, and there were no drill holes in brick, and he were drilling into mortar joints, and I says, what's this? What's this witchcraft that you're doing? You got this, and he got this applicator, and you're putting these sausages in, and I'd never seen anything like it, and I says, what's that? And he says, it's a new method of damp proofing. And I watched him do it, and it was just so simple. It was so simple. He drilled a hole, put his applicator in, and backfilled with cream, and a light bulb went off in my head, and it said, "Sam, you could do that. That's a piece of piss. You could do that. Anybody could do that." And from that day on, because I got the rep from Safeguard, I got his number off at Joiner, and he came out to see me, and from that day, all dry damp proofing started. I went on a course down to Safeguard, learnt how to do their system, which was easy, and then learnt about mixing products properly, and things like that. So that were all that I needed to kind of kickstart my journey, because I'd had all these years where I knew about roughly about damp and what you had to put on walls. I knew that there were lightweight plasters, render light and limelight and things like that. So that was my introduction, and that's what kick-started me. So equipment nowadays, especially when I saw because after a few years they fetched a different system out, which is the express damp proofing system. And if you've seen that video that I did years ago, this video was showing everybody how quick and how easy it was to do damp proofing. And this is using the express system that a lot of people think is the devil's work, and a lot can't get their head around it, that this system would work on a wall. But it does work. It works absolutely fantastically, and it's the cheapest system that you can apply. It's the most profitable system that you can apply on a wall. So equipment you need, an applicator, which you can buy off Safeguard, but also you can buy them off online. Your creams, which you can buy online. You can buy them on Amazon. Salt neutralizer, which you use to paint on brickwork before you put your board on. Dry grip, which is a acrylic glue that you put dots on back at board. And then I added Instastick or any of them kind of glue type foams for setting boards. And only reason I added that to the system is just because dry grip just takes a bit longer to not set, but to grab and stay in position. So if you kind of just put your board in position, and if it's got your Instastick dots on, then that'll hold after about 5-10 minutes. You can move on to the next board. So you need some props, a couple of props offline, just to hold board against wall, and then you kind of your plastering. So it's very little materials to use, and then you're up and running. You've got your Centre Damp company. It's so easy to do. If you look at these videos that I've got online, how it works is the plasterboard is held off the wall by the dots, so the plasterboard's not touching the wall. One of the questions I get is, you're not using a level, you're not using straight edges. The reason why is because the boards, if you're using a 120, an 8x4, if you're using an 8x4 board on a big wall, if you've knocked it off 120, that board is more or less straight. Unless it's bent, that board is more or less straight. So if you put that board on, and don't forget your brickworks, more or less plumb. These occasions where you get stone and there's a massive, there's really big dints and ducts and things like that in wall, and then you might have to sort of just concentrate on doing it. But wherever your brickwork's like fairly smooth, you can always knock a couple of big protruding bits off. But majority of the time, it's if you've knocked off correctly, it's kind of straight, so your board just sits straight on it. And then you put your other piece on, and then your skirting on and stuff. So for plasterers, it's just a no-brainer, and amount of money that you can get. Well, I'll get on to that now. So that's your equipment. So your equipment is fairly easy to source. It's not expensive to build up. If you just start on this system, and don't forget that this system as well, once you get used to it, you can use it for damp patches as well. So you can use it for penetrating damp. So if you've got a big patch of penetrating damp on a wall, you can cut that out 300mm either side at last sign of damp, cut it in a big square, and just put a big board on. These other methods, and once you've started into this journey, then obviously you'll be going to do your courses as well with your manufacturers. So they ain't just sovereign. There's Safeguard, Wickham. I don't want to miss anybody now. So Safeguard, Wickham, Heidi, Delta. I'm going to miss somebody here, and somebody's going to get upset. So, but there's loads anyway. So you just Google them. But there's loads, and they all do their own courses. Once you've been on that course, you can become a registered installer. And this is how you start. We're not saying pack your job in straight away. So that's the equipment. So another thing that didn't really hold me back, but can hold trades back, is the replastering, because they're not plasterers. But this is all about, if you're going to start a damp proofing company, you need to be an organizer. So you can do all the prep work, you can hack off. I think I forgot with equipment, hacking off. So you can do it with a hammer and nicker, hammer and chisel, which is what we did back in 80s and 90s. All we used were a hammer and chisel. Or you can pay £100 and get yourself a cracking little, just a little drill, cordless, with a chisel SDS chisel on it, and that's as good. That's good enough for any knocking off. That's all we use. Fantastic they are. So, few bags for bagging rubbish up. So and you're up and running. So it's organise a plasterer. So that's all you have to do. That's all you have to do. Ring a plasterer up. You know what day you're going to be finished. Can you come on this day to replaster? So that'd be your skimming. Because you can put board on yourself. You can put your salt neutralising cream, get your board in place, fill any gaps with Instastick, slice it off level with existing plaster. You can even scrim it up for them. All they've got to do is come with a finish and then skim it in. Do a press test on board all the way on. If there's any bits that you don't feel as if it's stuck on properly, you push a screwdriver in, just waggle it round a bit, and then you put your Instastick nozzle in and just give one squirt, and that'll when that's set, that'll hold it. And you do a press test on alt board after it's set, just to see if there's any wavy bits, and if you've done it right, there won't be. But sometimes you can get others, but always do a press test. And that's it. So organise your plasterer, and a joiner if you want, and if you're going to decorating, organise decorator, get decorator to come in, and that's the basis of a business. Delegating, organising. So you see how easy it is to set a damp proofing company up, or start off in the preservation industry as a damp proofer. You don't have to be taking massive jobs on straight away. Start off with alcoves, things like that. Somebody you knows that's got a damp issue, you know what I mean? Go and have a look at it, if it's on bottom half and that. Have a look at my videos, see what are our diagnosed stuff. Have a look if there's any patterns. get in touch with me if you've got any issues. Send photos to me. I'll have a look at them for you if I've got time. I'm getting a bit busier now. And you know, and you're away. As long as you, once you've done work, as long as you, when you've issued your guarantee, will go back and sort any problems out, then there's no issue with these guarantees and things like that. So that's another thing that could be holding people back. Thought that they've got to plaster it. You just ring a plasterer up. You know, make sure it's somebody that is competent. Make sure it's somebody that you've used or a friend's used before, and they know what they're doing. And there you go. So your next thing, number 4, that one number 3, plastering. Number 4, what might hold you back, which was a thing that I used to think about. Listen to this bang when I put this down. Oh, one of the things I used to think about was pricing. This was one of the things that kind of held me back in first place. How do you price up a job? How do you price damp proofing? All I'll say is this. Throughout England, from top to bottom, from Scotland down to Cornwall, over to Southend down that way, taking in Norwich and all them other places, there is no set price per metre for damp proofing, per day for damp proofing. It all depends on the individual and how much you want to make. Big companies with overheads are going to charge more sometimes, you might think, because they've got overheads. They've got secretaries to pay, they've got like vans to keep on road, and you know, they've got hidden costs. Somebody who works with just an apprentice or works on their own, they've not got these costs. But if they do just as good a job as a big company, there's no reason why they can't charge as much as a big company and make more profit. So there you go. There is some big profits to be made in the preservation industry because it's specialist at the minute. There's a shortage of people that can do this work, that are qualified. And the reason why I'm doing this video is to get people into our industry and to start going through the process of learning and making themselves better. Learning, getting on in with PCA, doing the courses and moving up that ladder and getting qualified, so we get a better quality of work and better diagnosis of jobs. And you have to start somewhere, so why not start with a simple system, which is this. And pricing, so what you do is this. If you're starting out, you think, how much do I want, either per hour, per day, per week? You look at the job that you're going to do. Try and think how long it's going to take you. Is it going to take you 2 days? Is it going to take you 3 days? Then add your material costs in, so you know how much your dry grip is. You know how much your dry zone is. You know how much Insta stick is. You know how much your plasterboards are. Your finish. You know what your plaster is going to charge you. So you have your labour cost, material costs. Add them together, and then your time. Add them all together and you'll come up with a price. And then you'll think to yourself, is that enough? Is that worth me going and doing that job? And if it's not, you put a bit more on. And that's it. So this is how you start your pricing journey. There's different ways of doing it. You can work a metre out. It's a bit more complicated, but you can work a meterage price out, and big companies do that because they give bonuses to the workers and that. But Easiest way if you're starting out, materials plus labour. Work out how much you want per hour or how much you want per day. If you want, say, plasterers get, I don't know, I watched the video on the other day, and there were a plasterer on, there were a podcast I was listening to, and there were a plasterer saying he got £250 a day. So if you want more than that, put £300 a day in, and then your costs on. It's specialist stuff. There's not many people doing it. So that's number 4, pricing. I mean, it might be a contentious issue, because people might say, well, you're telling people to do this. I'm showing people an entry level system which is simple, and once people know how to do this system, it'll open up a massive world of different things that you can do in the preservation industry. And you'll look at other things and you'll go, well, if I can do that, I can do that. This is easy. And then when you go on courses and you learn and you get your paperwork templates, then there's nothing stopping you setting off on your preservation journey. And you've got damp sand videos to look at, down to earth videos on YouTube that I do in a no nonsense Yorkshire accent. So if you can understand Yorkshire, and you can stand to listen to me whining on, then why not have a look at my videos? And if you can't stand my videos, have a look at other people's, and then you get a decent view, overview of what's happening, and then you can move on. You can go to once you get on these courses, and then you start learning, then you can put everything together. But this is a starting point. These systems are starting points, and these are what is holding people back. These are what holding trades back. So if you're a joiner, especially if you're a plasterer, I mean, plasterers, come on. You'll stand in a room and skim a room, and it takes you all day, a full day to skim a room or whatever, or to skim 2 rooms, or if you're skimming a house, all day, stood in that house, skimp ceiling, put a couple of walls on. You never stop all day, flat out. For the same, well, for more money than that, for probably 3 times money what you're getting per day, plasterers, you can learn these systems. You can go on hard work one day, knocking off, putting your backing on, half a day next day. You'll probably earn what you'll get in a week. So it's a no-brainer. It's an absolute no-brainer. And all these plasterers, if you're happy banging finish on, putting boards on, covered in dust every day, if you're happy doing that, and listen, somebody's got to do it. But when you're first starting out as a plasterer, stay in game. But if you're in your 30s and you've been doing it quite a while, if you're in your 30s and you've got kids, plasterers will be thinking to themselves, I can't be doing this for the rest of my life. I can remember years ago, nearly in tears, thinking, is this what I've got to do for the rest of my life? It was a bit harder when I first started, though, because it was just all putting back in on browning and mixing in a bath and all that rubbish. But thinking to myself, is this what I've got to do for the rest of my life? It was just hard. It's like every day. I mean, boxers have it hard when they're training for a fight, but I think plasterers are up there, because you get home and you feel like you've been in the ring with Tyson. Both of them, Fury and Mike, so, at the same time, because you just ache everywhere. You get up next day and it's just arms aching, your back's aching and stuff. And if you don't look after yourself, if you're not going at gym, I mean, I used to go to gym as well and play football. So this, I mean, no wonder No wonder I used to think, do I have to do this for the rest of my life? Because in my 20s, I'd be plastering all day. Then it'd be 5-a-side twice a week. I used to play squash twice a week. And then at weekends I used to play for football teams. And then on a Sunday I'd play Sunday league in the morning, and then I'd play in a 5-a-side league at night. And I could hardly walk. But then I used to go to the gym as well. So when I finished work, I'd go to the gym. And I never got any bigger. And that's what they say, if you're footballing and going at the gym, you're not going to get any bigger, you're burning calories off. And a kid once told me that, I didn't believe him. But you'd think I'd be like Arnold Schwarzenegger now. All the times I've been to the gym, but just same size. Probably the same size as I was when I was 40. So that's pricing. Easy. It's easy to do. It's not hard. And number 5, finally, everybody's saying, leaving my current job. Can I leave my current job to do plastering? Would I be able, when do I make that leap? Well, what I'll say to you is this. Don't try and pack your job in and then start doing that. Take it easy. So just take a job on now and again. Do them spare time. Do them on a weekend. Do them on a night. Take small jobs on. Put an advert in there. Pick and choose your jobs. You don't have to. You're not forced to. If you go and look at a job and it's a full room and it wants all knocking off all the way around, you're not going to do that for your first job, are you? You just say, I can't do it. You wait until you see a job where it's 2 alcoves. I can do that. I can knock an alcove off. Try and get them without plug sockets in. Because it's a bit harder around a plug socket. It's a bit more difficult. But and obviously kitchens and bathrooms are all different. You want to be looking at a straight wall, where it's just a question of text getting off, hack it off 300mm above last signs of damp, hack it off square, cut your board, put it in, get plaster to skim it, or you skim it. Well, drill and inject it first inside and out. If it's rising damp. If it's not rising damp, don't do it. But always send pictures to me. Always look online. And then this can be start of your journey. Get your templates ready. So get a guarantee template. We might have some for sale at some point, but this is what you need to be doing. You need to be working out your own guarantees. Look at what's online. Google it. There'll be a guarantee online. It'll have all terms and conditions on it. Copy terms and conditions. Print your own guarantee out. Design it nice. Have a look at just look at other people's guarantees. Copy them. As long as you're gonna uphold them, but you don't have to pack your job in straight away. That's what I'm trying to say. Do a few jobs spare time. Is your mum's damp? Is your grandma's damp? Is your auntie's damp? Have they been asking about damp? Have a look at it. Can you do it? Hack it off. Put your plasterboard in. Get it skimmed. Simple. Work your price out. We need more people in preservation industry. So these are the 5 things that could be holding people back, and what were holding me back before I set all dry damp proofing up. 1, the guarantee. How do you get it? Easy. Have a look online. Ask about, is there any templates, what you can use. Number 2, the equipment. Have a look at my videos. I tell you everything, all the equipment you need to do the express damp proof system. The most simple system in the world. There's no membrane going on. There's no wet plaster backing going on. It's just plasterboard, salt neutraliser, drill and inject. Simple. Replastering. Organise it. Is your mate a plasterer? Does somebody you know a plasterer? There must be millions of plasterers in England. Millions. That's why I kind of got out, because You're all. I did think we were all fighting for the same job. So in Barnsley, where I live, you kind of knew most at plasterers, and you just thought we were all kind of vying for the same job, which it was true in a way, because you were all advertising, and and people were getting 3 or 4 people going, and if they didn't know you, it could be a wasted journey. So yeah, have a ring up, get a plasterer. Number 4, pricing. What to charge. I've just explained how you do it. Is what you think you're worth and what you want for that time, plus your materials. Time plus materials. How long is it going to take me? How much is materials going to cost? It's simple. And then you can look at different other ways of pricing once you establish your way of doing it. So if you're a plasterer, if you're a joiner, you probably already use this system. Time plus materials. Leaving your job, is that going to be a stumbling block? Start, and then on a weekends, start doing it part-time. Don't pack your job in, and start getting good at it. So start, one weekend, stick an advert on Facebook. Keep your ear to the ground. If somebody's after a damp proofer, tell them you'll go and have a look. Make you send a small ad on Facebook. Get you sent a property. If you're doing it yourself, if you've got a property, have a go yourself in your own house. Start like that. If you've got a garage, try one at Wallsink Garage. Practice on that. Go on some courses. Contact Wickham, Safeguard, Sovereign. They all do their own courses. John Newton. And trust me, from just doing this system and finding out how easy this system is and how quick you can install it and how profitable it is, you can then move on and look at other systems and whether you can do them. And that is when you'll start expanding and moving into even more profitable systems. Because it's like going up a tree. So you start off with an express fast damp system at the bottom of the tree, and then as you're climbing up, you start going off on branches. So you go up one branch, which might be condensation and ventilation. There's courses to go on for that. You just need your electricians. Get your knowledge. Then get your golden team, or your power team, golden team, idle team. They're all the whole trades, but you just want good tradesmen. So get them together. Electrician, joiner, plumber, decorator, plasterer. You all know somebody. You'll have met somebody in pub, you know what I mean? And you'll know these trades, so you can use them. So you're going up your tree, condensation, sulfate salts, which is isolation systems on chimney breasts and stuff. Leaks, floods, flooding happens a lot. Waterproofing, basement conversions, and all these things are just in one house. Then you can go timber treatments, infestations, which is kind of spraying and stuff. And there's systems to sort all these out. So I've come to end of my podcast, and I just hope that I've given people an insight into how you can get into this industry, the easiest entry level into this industry. There's an easier route, which is to go and work for a company and learn that way. But and listen, if you're desperate to get in, just ring some companies up, and they're all desperate for people. So if you're a good worker, you'll get straight in, and you can learn that way. But if you've got out about you and you're wanting to, you wanting to be more individual and on your own, learn this system on your own and get on courses. So that's Damp Sam, to be found on YouTube if you want to see what I'm like and see my videos. And if you want to contact me with some pictures and stuff, have a look on our Facebook group, which is Why Have I Got Damp in My House, Damp Sam. So look for a Facebook group like that. Why Have I Got Damp in My House, Damp Sam. And you can upload your pictures and I'll comment on them. For free for now. Because, we're getting a lot of people. So I hope you've enjoyed it. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.